Welcome to the first live episode. I keep saying live, but the first solo episode of the Girl Techno podcast for season 2. I have not had an opportunity to do a live solo episode. I keep saying live because I've been doing Facebook live episodes, but I have an opportunity to do a solo episode for season 2 since I've started. You know, season 1 was really all about solo episodes. I did a lot more solo episodes for season 1, but season 2, I was really focused on booking more guests and bringing more of a different experience to the show and giving my listeners more expert advice and tips and strategies on how to manage their business full time, manage a business while working full time. And so this is the first time that I've been able to do a solo episode, and it's kind of befitting because October is the 1-year anniversary of the Girl Techno podcast. And I'm excited about that, to know that it's been a year and we've hit some really good milestones with the podcast over this year. By just being in the top 2% of podcasts globally for women and for women entrepreneurs was really a big deal. Found that out, didn't even know for a long time that that's where we ranked. But when I did find it out, I thought it was such a great thing to know. So I'm excited to know that. And then also being able to upgrade the studio. Like, I've upgraded the studio with new microphones, new lighting, camera, soundboard, and learning all this new technology and learning all this new equipment and really making sure I give the best quality podcast that I can in terms of audio and video, right? And it's still a work in progress. I'm not even gonna lie about that. And also, I think just growing in terms of like downloads, monthly downloads, and just the way I've been really utilizing these platforms to really help grow my podcast audience and also just my online audience. And the fact that I have now transitioned from full-time employee to full-time podcaster and content creator has really been like one of the biggest things that have happened during season 2 and over this year of me starting the Girl Techno podcast. And if I reflect back on the first episode, and I did it with one of my good girlfriends, Jack Sams, and we were talking about joy. What brings us joy? Right? What brings us joy? What do we do that brings us joy? And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, because I knew that this was something that brings me joy. And I wanted to continue doing it and make sure I give it my all because I enjoy doing it. And reflecting back on that first episode and understanding that it's really, really, really good. And I'm super excited about where we've come with the podcast, how much we have grown with the podcast, all the things we have done with the podcast on my different platforms, with my different audiences. It has really shown so much growth has happened. And I'm excited. I'm excited about where it's going. Like I said, just in this 1 year, so much growth has happened. And I'm so happy that it's happening. And so where it's going to go from here, I can't even imagine. But I do have a lot of big things I want to do with the show. And I realized that after season 1, I really had to think about this show as a business, not just as something like a hobby. I had to look at this as a business. And I think as podcasters or anything that we want to do in life, we have to understand that either you're going to put it as a hobby or you're going to put it as a business. And I am not putting this as a hobby. This is a business for me, a straight up business. Go back. This is a business for me. This is not a hobby. And so I'm sorry, guys, my grandbaby is trying to come downstairs, and you know how it is. You're trying to multitask. You're trying to record. You're trying to do all this stuff. And in the midst of it, I have to tell him, go back upstairs because he's going to come down here and be hollering. And I will not get through this episode at all. And I want to get through this episode. So, I treated my podcast like a business. So I really had to decide, okay, Shawnee, it's going to be a business or it's going to be a hobby. And you need to decide, because if it's going to be a business, you have to treat it as such. You have to build it as such. And so during season 2, I decided to really build out the foundation, build out the structure of the podcast, of the business, so that it can function as such. And I'm really glad that I did that. I'm really glad that I really set the foundational work for the podcast and set it up as a business, because it opened me up to different opportunities, and it allowed me to see it differently and understand all the different things that I need to do, the different strategies I need to implement in terms of growing, in terms of monetizing, and what opportunities there are for me. And, when I first started the podcast, and all of us think about monetizing our podcast, even when we first start, we all want to know, well, what can I do to monetize? What can I do to make money off the podcast? And a lot of people tell you to do ads on your podcast, also do brand deals with different brands, and get booked on other people's podcasts to help your podcast grow, to help you get those opportunities. And those were some things that I pursued. And I don't see anything wrong with those, actually. I think there's still something that we still can do, but it's not the only thing we can do. And over time, I realized that, you know what? If I want to see growth, I need to learn how to utilize these platforms, these social platforms, to see growth. I need to know, not just use them to just announce my upcoming episodes, not just use them to just promote my upcoming episode, but really build community on these platforms, really introduce the podcast to new audiences, right? People who might not listen to podcasts, but people who I can connect with, who will connect with me and will support whatever I do. And so my mindset shifted in season 2 around community. You need to build community. It's not just about booking. It's not just about promoting episodes. It's not just about, getting the downloads. It's really about, how do you build community around this amazing thing that you love so much? How do you build community around it? How do you open it up to more people and allow people to know that you have these great episodes and you're interviewing all these great people? And so I started thinking about growth strategies, and I started implementing growth strategies. And a lot of people tell you, oh, use reels, use TikTok videos to grow. And those are really great ways to grow. It really is, but they're not the only way to grow. And so I decided that, you know what? I had a friend who was already on Facebook, who was already doing really well on Facebook with going live, because before, live was like never an option for me. Going live was not an option for me on any platform. And then I realized that when I started watching a lot of content creators over on Facebook and how they was going live, and how live allow you the opportunity to really give people a behind the scenes look on who you are as a host, who you are as a person, who you are as a podcaster, who you are as a content creator, and then allow you to have that real life interaction with people. And I'm glad that I did it. And so I only started on Facebook, and I said, you know what? Let me just start on one platform. I ain't gonna overwhelm myself now. I'm going to start on one platform, and I'm going to see how that goes. And it began to go really well as I began to grow and show up more online. I can tell you, the more you show up, the more confident you become. Because really, when you think about going live, it's not really this thing of like everything has to be so planned. It's more so about just you being you. And what I wanted to do was connect with my audience and connect with potential listeners and followers and people who I can build community around, and give them an opportunity to see me for who I am, and let them know who I am, and let them know I go through the same things everybody else go. We all struggle. We all go through ups and downs. We all have life that be lifing, right? Things be happening, and we got to deal with them, and we got to push past certain things. And so going live really allowed me to do that. But I'm going to tell you, like when I first went live, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a scary feeling, because when you go live, there's nobody there. There is nobody there. And it's a scary feeling for most people, because there's nobody there, because you're live and you're like, who am I talking to really? Like, who is watching? Ain't nobody watching me. But it takes time. And as I begin to implement strategies and know that, hey, you need to partner with other content creators. And my friend, me and her was able to partner, and she was able to talk about me on her live. And then that brought people over to my live. And now I show up every day at a certain time on live on Facebook. And I have not implemented these strategies yet, like on Instagram and TikTok. And I decided that, every platform is different. And so I realized on Facebook, it could be more of my daily life. It could be more of just things that I go through, and incorporating topics around conversations around different topics that I'm actually covering on my podcast. So it's always a strategy there too. But on Instagram, I realized, you know what? It could be more for podcasting. It could be more about growth strategies and how we feel as podcasters, how the industry is, and how to grow your podcast, how to monetize your podcast. How do we do certain things with being podcasters, how to get better at interviewing. And so I realized that. And with TikTok, it could be more fun. It could be more challenges. It doesn't have to always be so serious, and everything doesn't have to always be about promoting. But you have to find a way to get the podcast in there. And so one of the ways that I decided to do that when it comes to my lives is that I'll have conversations around topics that I'm going to cover during that episode. So if I have a new episode dropping this weekend, maybe it's about confidence, right? Being a confident woman, being a confident entrepreneur, then I'll start having conversation on lives around confidence. And then when the time comes, I say, hey guys, I have the new episode dropping on Thursday. It's all about being confident as a woman and how that translates into becoming a confident entrepreneur. If you guys want to know more and just get some real expert tips and advice, make sure you download the podcast and make sure you listen to it. And a lot of people started doing it. And a lot of people started saying, you know what? I like this woman. I like Shawnee. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download her podcast. I'm going to listen to her podcast because I do want to learn more. I do want to start a business. I do want to know how to manage my business better while I'm working full time, what tools and resources are out there. And that's how I started realizing that lives is a really good strategy for us as podcasters that we can use to have people get to know us as hosts. It has people know us as individuals. And we have to understand that we need to build a community, a sense of community. It's not just about episodes. It's not just about recording and promoting, promoting. It's about building community around your podcast. It's about getting people involved and want to know more about you as a host. And that's the stuff that I've been learning over this past year about podcasting and implementing strategies and listen to other podcasters when it comes to how do you grow. And everybody was saying the same thing. I could tell you when I first started. And even now, if you go Google how to grow your podcast, everybody says the same thing. Post on social media, get booked on other people's podcasts, get deals. How do you monetize your social media? How do you monetize your podcast? Oh, book brand deals, get ads ran. That's how you monetize your podcast. Do digital products. Do physical products. And that is so true because I have digital products and I've created physical products. But I think when you first start, you have to figure out what that is. What is your thing? What is that? What is that thing that you're offering? How do you just narrow down? How do you bring your podcast and the description of what your podcast is? Who is it for? How do you narrow that all the way down? And so I had to go through a process of when I first started, I felt like my podcast was like out there for everybody. But I really had to think about in season 2 and narrow it down. I think that's why I was able to rank in the top 2% because I was able to hone in on who I was talking to. And I realized that, Shawnee, you're talking to women who are like you. You're talking to women who are working full time, but who are looking to ditch that full-time 9 to 5, right? And leap into entrepreneurship. You are looking at women who work full time, but want tools and resources on how to manage their business while they're working full time more effectively. Because when they get off work, they're tired. They have to be a mom. They have to be a wife. They have to cook, do certain things. So they want to have tools and resources that can help them manage that business while they're able to do life. You're talking to that woman who is just tired of working for somebody else, who's tired of constraints of the 9 to 5 and want more freedom in her life, want to be able to be free to travel and spend time with her family, who want her time back, who wants to be able to put more time into the things she's loved. And so I was able to hone in on that person I was talking to. And once I did that, the content ideas, the podcast episodes, everything just started flowing. Once I did that, the digital products, the physical products now that I'm promoting have begun to come about. I've created a journal called the Ultimate Girl Boss Startup Journal. And I did that because one, I love journals and I know a lot of people that love journals, and I use journals to write down my thoughts, manifestations, affirmations, everything. But I said, you know what? There's not a journal out there that really help us start our business, build our business from start to marketing to finish. And so I began building out the Ultimate Girl Boss Startup Journal as a physical product to sell to monetize my podcast. And it's available on Amazon for those of you that want it. I'm going to drop the link down below in the podcast description. But it was something that I knew was needed because a lot of us out there want to start businesses and want to do something, but we don't know where to start. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna give people a blueprint. I'm gonna give them a blueprint to start with. I'm gonna help them start their business, show them how to do it and say, hey, here's step one. You have to dream big. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you're passionate about? And then we have to identify what those superpowers are that we have as women. You know what I mean? What is your superpower? What is that thing that you're so good at? What's that thing that people always complimenting you on and say, hey, you probably should do this for a living. You're going to identify those traits that you have that you know that can really, you can monetize off of, that you could build a business off of. And then you got to name your empire, right? So the journal is really fun and it takes you through every step. It inspires you. It holds you accountable. It allows you to reflect, to meditate, and to think about what you've done. It allows you to take action steps and it holds you accountable for those action steps that you've taken to build that stage that you're at. And it just takes you along the way. I give you recommendations on podcasts to listen to, on people to follow for content creators. I give you recommendations on strategy in terms of like how to build your audience, how to market your podcast, how to market your business. And so I give you so many different things on tools and resources you can use to help manage your business while you're working full time. I give you a manifestation journal in the back of it because manifestation and affirmations have been something I've been really big into over this course of this year, over the course of launching the podcast. I've been really big into that. And I know 100% a lot of this is because I manifested it. I begin to reaffirm. I begin to say those affirmations and reaffirm myself daily around where I see this podcast going, what I see this podcast doing. And so I created that journal for women, or for anybody, honestly, but it's geared towards women who are looking to start a business and want that foundation, want help with that foundational work. And that's what the journal does. And so it's available on Amazon. And so I began to say, okay, I can do physical products, but it wasn't, like I said, all this didn't happen till season 2 because I really had to hone in on who I was talking to. I'm telling you guys, it's so important as a business person to hone in on who is your ideal customer. What is it that you're offering them? How are you trying to help them solve a pain point? And I know we hear people say this all the time because I've heard so many people say, you have to solve a pain point. You have to solve a pain point. And it's true. It's what is it that you're doing? You have to think about the reason why you start something and why you want to start this business, because maybe the business that you're starting is actually going to alleviate something for you, right? Solve a pain point for you. And that's that customer that you want to identify. And so once I was able to hone in on who is this podcast really for, Sean? Who are you really talking to? What is it that you want them to know? And what is it that you want to offer them? What do you want to give them? How do you want to help them? And the way I want to help them is I want to provide them with strategies, tips, and tools on how to build that business and live the dream life they've always dreamt of. Live that life they've always wanted. And that's what I've been doing. And once I was able to hone in on that and focus on that, my podcast took off. It started taking off. The downloads started coming. The request to be on the podcast started coming because I was very, very specific in terms of what I knew, what I wanted on this podcast, what this podcast was about. People started requesting that. So I started getting booked like crazy to the point where I could not even get an opportunity to do a solo episode. I really had to carve this time out right now to do this episode because October is my 1-year anniversary and I wanted to get a solo episode in. But I was really able to understand who I was speaking to. And then from there, being able to build out digital products for the person I was speaking to, being able to build out a physical product for the woman I was speaking to. And now when I think about growing, because now everything for me is how do you continue to grow? How do you grow your platforms on social media? How do you grow your podcast? And implementing live. Going on Facebook Live. Like I said, I'm only doing lives on Facebook and I've begun to not start doing lives on Instagram. And I will begin to start doing lives on TikTok. But I really see the benefits of it. And when I'm live, people are consistently asking me, hey, what's the name of your podcast again? I'm going to go download it now. I'm going to follow you on all socials. I'm going to go buy the journal. And then I started coming out with other merchandise in terms of like wearable affirmations, because I've been so big into affirmations. I've been so big into meditation. I've been so big into manifestation. And I wanted to be able to offer people something where they can wear it every day on them to remind them to speak life over them. And so I created sweatshirts and t-shirts and I call them wearable affirmations. And I've been promoting those also on my pages. So the physical products have come, the digital products have come in terms of monetization. But then it's a thing that a lot of podcasters don't tell you about, but online content creators know all about. And I think we need to understand that as podcasters, we are online content creators too. I tell people I'm a full-time podcaster and online content creator. And simply because I understand now how to utilize every platform to monetize my business, to monetize my podcast. And that's something that they don't tell you about. That's something a lot of big podcasters don't talk about. And we want to know more of it. And that's why I'm here to talk more about utilize these platforms to monetize your podcast. Utilize these platforms to pay you for being on their platforms. And I think once we start talking more about those types of strategies, I think that's where we'll see podcasters, our industry grow more. And you'll be able to understand that I can monetize my podcast easily. You can monetize on Facebook. You can monetize on TikTok. You can monetize on Instagram. These 3 platforms you're able to monetize off of. They will pay you for the content that you create. They will pay you every time you go live and the interactions you get and the responses you get. So I think implementing live as a strategy has allowed me to open up a new financial revenue stream for myself. And I see it on other platforms as well. And when we begin to start something new, we need to understand that we need to think about growth strategies. We need to stop being afraid to be seen. I think some of us are so afraid to be in front of a camera and to talk publicly, but yet we do it every day when we get on this microphone. And so I decided to do lives, and I was like, it has opened up my podcast to so many different people who don't normally listen to podcasts. So many different people who don't get opportunity to see the host behind a podcast and see their everyday life. I get it. You post your stories and you're showing life behind stories. That's great. But when there's something about that live interaction with people, that live one-on-one, that live going back and forth, there is something about that just cannot be beat. And I encourage you as fellow podcasters to implement strategies that will push you about, that will push you, right, to do something outside of the box that you put yourself in. We have to do it. And over this year, I have really pushed myself. I have really pushed my boundaries. I have pushed myself outside of those constraints of thinking that I can only do things one way. That success is a one-way track when there's so many different paths to success. There's so many different paths to monetization. And I think we need to explore all of them, not just the ones that people typically tell you. We want to explore all of them. We want to know really, how do you grow? I'm going to be one of those content creators and one of those podcasters that can really come on and tell you, this is how I went from 0 to 1 million followers, and give you steps, give you strategies, give you the different things that you can implement to help you grow. I'm not going to tell you, oh, just do reels. That's how you grow. Because that's the thing that everybody keeps saying. Do reels, do reels, do reels. Reels is growth. Short form video is where it's at. And it is. But it's not just that doing reels and you're going to grow. You're not going to, it takes time for people that go viral. It's like, it's not a strategy for it. It's like a luck of the draw, right? It's like one day you're doing your thing and then the next minute you can go viral, right? You put out a TikTok and it could be a video that you've had on your page years ago or months ago. And then that particular video goes viral, and it can happen all the time. So reels, just doing reels and TikTok videos and doing what's on trend doesn't lead to viral sensation. Consistency leads to growth. And we have to stay consistent. No matter what kind of views you get on that reel or that TikTok, keep posting. Keep posting. Eventually it all grows. It will grow. Keep posting. Keep doing it. For me, live is just one of those things where I see growth, where I see people, knowing more about me and who I am, and as a host, and being able to follow my journey and being able to follow the podcast and know everything about Girl Take No podcast. It has been a really good journey. This year of launching the podcast has been one of the best things I think I've ever done. And I'm so glad I did it. I really am glad that I decided to not let my fears, not let the imposter syndrome stop me from doing something that I love. And I encourage everyone to push past that fear, to not wait, to do it now. We love to say, oh, I'll do it now. I'll do it at the beginning of the year. I'll do it in a few months. Now is the time for you to do everything you said you want to do. Now is the time for you to pursue everything you said you wanted to pursue. There's no time like now. Listen, everything in life is not guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed, actually. But if you have something you want to do, you have something you're passionate about it, just do it. Do it. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, you do it. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how much you don't have. Do it. Don't let fear stop us. Don't let don't let your mind make you feel like just because you don't have enough money, you can't do something. Where a lot of us can be on these platforms for free. We can build awareness for free. You can build awareness for free. You don't need money to build awareness around a business or an idea that you want to do. Awareness is free. You could build that freely. And as you begin to build, because it's important to build your audience, it's important to build your community before you do anything. You know, we can launch our podcast, but if we don't tell people about it, how are they going to know it's there? You can launch that business, but if I don't tell my audience about it, tell our audience, I'll build an audience around it, how do they know we're going to have it? So we have to be able to market our podcast. We have to be able to market what we're doing. And I just think that implementing other strategies, and you have to remember their growth strategies. You want to grow, and finding those growth strategies that you can implement to really help you grow is truly game changing. And it has truly been some of the game changing things that has happened to me over this course of this year. It has really been shifting and honing in on who I'm talking to as an audience, right? Who is that woman I'm talking to? Because we think that we can talk to everybody, and really you need to identify that one woman, that one person, right? Of who we're talking to. We can't talk to everybody. We can't speak to every woman because every woman is not in the same situation. Every woman is not in the same starting point in life, right? And so if you're starting something, if you're starting a business, if you're starting a podcast, whatever it is, there is a customer that you are trying to talk to, and you truly need to identify who that customer is. Identify who that customer is. Identify what that customer needs. Identify what you want to solve for that customer, or how do you want to help them? Maybe you won't solve it, but maybe you can give them ideas and encouragement. But you have to decide what that is also, because it's up to you. And like I said, once I made that shift during season 2, oh my God, so many things have opened up for me. Season 2 has been absolutely amazing. Season 1 as well over this year, like I said, it has been amazing. Starting out, like I said, looking back and starting out knowing that I did so many solo episodes, and during season 1, where season 2 came and it was like all booked. And I'm still booked. I get so many different requests to be on the show. It is crazy. You'd be surprised how many people I get requesting on a daily basis to either be booked on the podcast, have their clients booked on the podcast, just so much. And I myself haven't even done interviews, right? I haven't even put myself out there to do other podcasts. Maybe that'll be my strategy going into season 3, but I haven't even had an opportunity to put myself out there to be on other people's podcasts because I've been so busy being booked on my own podcast, right? That I haven't even had an opportunity or time to be booked on anyone else's. But season 3, I think I will start implementing that strategy more in terms of going on other podcasts, giving more of myself to other podcasts to be guests on other shows. And so I think that'll probably be a strategy of mine going to season 2, but I continue to do lives as well. I continue to build out my platforms and see my platforms grow, see my community grow, and continue to focus on building my community and watching that happen. And I've done such a great job with that. And I need to focus more on that. Like Instagram is growing slowly. But Facebook has really taken off. TikTok has really taken off. And so I'm committed to the growth, and I'm committed to, seeing it happen. And so I'm going to stay the course. I'm not going to venture off. I'm going to stay the course. And I know that eventually the next time I'm back on here doing a solo episode, whenever that will be, I'll probably be on here telling you guys how I've got hundreds of thousands of followers now. I do a video podcast on YouTube, right here on YouTube. And so seeing that grow as well, seeing the numbers grow, like I said, everything grows over time, right? And we want to see instant growth so badly, but we do have to understand that it takes time to grow. And I'm here for it. I'm committed to this, and I'm committed to seeing it grow the way it needs to grow. And I don't worry about the pace that somebody else is doing. I don't worry about how someone else is growing, that they're bigger than me. I just run my own race, and I pay attention to my community that I'm building. I think once we get out of that comparison stage too, we can't compare ourselves to other people, businesses, podcasters, none of that stuff. We have to run our own race. We have to pay attention to the things that we're doing, because that's where we see our greatest success. And once you're able to focus on exactly what you're doing and not focus on what somebody else is doing, you will see great success there as well. So I just encourage everyone today to do the thing you love, do the things that bring you joy, take the risk, push past the fear. You'll be amazed to see how things change once you're able to push past that. You'll be amazed to see the strength that you have and how brave you are that to do the things that probably scared you the most. Right. And then you'll realize that, wow, I was so afraid of this thing, but really look at me. I did it. It's not really that scary. It's not as scary as I think it is. And I know a lot of us think that way, that we think that things are so scary, but it's really not as scary as we think it is. We're so afraid to go after what we want that we allow people to tell us that we can't have it, that we're not in the right place in our life to get it, when it's like, yes, you are. You are exactly where you need to be to get what you want. You don't have to settle for anything else. You don't need nothing more than what you have to start what you want, to start what you want to do. And even if it's just putting up a social page, begin to spread awareness, to build awareness. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything to build awareness. Building awareness is free. And so if you're able to build awareness, then you're able to build exactly the life that you want. You're not afraid to. A lot of us want to have this great life, but so many of us are afraid to go get it. So many of us are afraid to take the steps to do what we need to do to get it. So I just want to encourage everyone today to go after what you want. And I want to say thank you to everyone who has made this podcast a success that it has been over this year. I want to say thank you to all of you guys who are listening, who come back every week and download, or come back every week and listen to every episode. I appreciate you guys so much for that. And I know that going into closing out season 2, which will be closing out soon in December, actually, and going into and preparing for a new season. And I'm excited to see the growth there. I'm excited to book larger names, bigger names on the show. I'm excited to see production wise grow as well. I'm excited to see more brand deals, more, my platforms grow, to go live on more multiple channels, and just to see it all grow. Like I'm super excited to see where it's going to go. I have kind of like an idea in my mind where I want it to go, but I'm telling you, God has other plans. God has a plan, and I know that I have to stay the course, and I have to stay committed to it. And I can't be afraid to ask. I talked about that this morning on my Facebook Live, and it was all about how we're afraid to ask. We'll be so afraid of the ask because we're so afraid of the answer. We're so afraid of getting rejected, but we can't. We got to push past rejection. We got to push past always thinking that we're going to get rejected, and start thinking about more positive things. Start thinking that, you know what? I'm not going to get rejected. They're going to respond very good to this. And I think that for me, going into season 3 or going into this next season, I'm going to start asking a lot big. I'm going to start asking big, a lot bigger. And I'm going to start booking bigger names on the show, because not only am I setting my intentions and I'm manifesting and I'm affirming, but also I'm putting action behind it. I'm putting action behind my manifestation. I'm putting action behind my affirmations, because we have to take those action steps. We have to take those action steps, because if we don't, then what are we doing it all for? What are we doing it all for? And I want to be bold, and I want you guys to be bold. I want us all to be brave and to push past whatever it is we're going through. Don't let whatever it is that you're dealing with right now at this moment stop you from pursuing the things that you need to do to give you or your family a better life. Let's not do that. Let's not let anything stop us. Let's not let anything hold us back, because we do it too much. We do it too often, where dreams are deferred. Nothing hurts worse than a dream deferred, when we have the opportunity to do it right now. I'm here to tell you right now, if nobody else tell you, you didn't miss your opportunity. You didn't miss your chance. You didn't miss that thing that was supposed to be for you. Whatever didn't work out is because it wasn't for you. You didn't miss anything. You are in the right place. You're at the right time. You have exactly what you need to do it. You have enough resources to do it. If you have to ask, then ask. If you have to seek, then seek. But you have what you need to get it done. You have what you need to start it. And you take baby steps along the way. It's baby steps. That's all it is. Baby steps. So don't be afraid to do it now. Don't be afraid to say it out loud what you want. It's okay to say it. Say it out loud. Say it out loud so the chicks in the back can hear you. You know what I'm saying? And protect it. Don't share with everybody. Be very intentional about who you share your dream with, who you share something that you want to pursue with. Because when we first start, we're in such a fragile state of just that unknown. Being in that unknown is very fragile. It's a fragile state to be in. And so because we're in that fragile state, don't share with everyone, because if you share with the wrong person, their little negativity is going to seep, or their fears, right? Because people love to put their fears on us. And if you say it to the wrong person and they begin to put their fears on you, then that's going to deter you. You're going to pull back. That's going to stop you from going forward with this dream and this idea that you want to do, because then you're going to start thinking about, well, what if it doesn't work out? Right? Man, maybe it won't work out. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't have enough money for it. Maybe I do need this and I do need that. And I'm here to tell you, you have everything you need. So protect it. Be intentional about who you share with. If you don't want to share with nobody, don't share with nobody. Just as long as you manifest, as long as you affirm it, right? As long as you say those affirmations behind yourself, as long as you manifest on what you want and where you see it going, that's all that matters. Nobody else matters. Only thing that matters is where you see it going. That's it. So I encourage you to do it, to live out loud, be bold, be brave. Take a step. That's all you have to do, is take the first step. And it can be such a small step. You take one step, it'll lead to the next. So listen, we have a few months left throughout this year. And I know a lot of times they tell us, when we're doing episodes, hey, don't timestamp it, because you want to be able to continue to listen to it. But listen, we have a few months left in this year. It's not too late. It's not too late for you. It's not too late for me. It's not too late for any of us to do it. And I just want to encourage everyone today, because like I said, over this year, I did not know that this is where I would be right now. I did not know that I would be here full time doing this. I thought I would still be working the job and still be doing that and managing my business on the side and trying to transition. But I've transitioned, and nobody saw this coming, but it happened. And I'm taking it as it comes, and I'm dealing with it as it is. But I'm not letting anything stop me. I don't care what it is. I'm still moving forward. I'm still going to stay committed to what I need to do, because I'm committed to this goal. I'm committed to doing this. And so it's 1 year for the Girl Take No podcast. And It's been super exciting. Like I said, I thank everybody that has supported the show. I thank all my guests that have come on. I probably do like a little mini collage, video collage of all the guests that have come on and celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the Girl Techno podcast. And the success that I've had with this podcast has been, something that I'll never forget over this year as I continue to grow, as I continue to get bigger. And I was always thinking about where I started from and why I started. I think that's the main thing. Like, we never can forget the why behind it. We always have to remember why we started something. No matter what we go through, how big or how small things may be, we need to always remember the why. Like, why did I do this in the beginning? Why did I do this anyway? Why did I do this? Why did I invest all into this? What was my reasoning behind it? And I think once we always hold on to the why, once we always know what the why is, then that is what keeps us going. And my why always been that this brings me joy. I enjoy doing this. And I wanted to help other women start their business, have a community to support them. And that's why I started it. So I thank you guys again. This has been a really good episode. And I thank you guys for the conversation, for listening with me, for riding with me for this year and continuing to ride with me throughout the duration of this podcast, of this show, and how it's going to grow and continue to stay with me through season 3. But if you are out there and you're looking for a support group to help you, give you encouragement and a community that can help you while you're on your journey of becoming an entrepreneur, then I encourage you to join my Ultimate Girl Boss Startup group on Facebook. This is a group of women that support each other. We share tips and strategy and advice on how to build your business, how to show up confidently. So it is really something that I think is beneficial to any woman that wants to start something but don't know where to start. So I will invite you to request to join the group. It's a private group. And so what we share in there is just amongst ourselves. We share our wins, we share our fails, we share our ups and downs, and we're very transparent about that. And so I encourage everyone to definitely be a part of that group. And also, like I said, get the Ultimate Girl Boss Startup Journal. It is available on Amazon. And also you'll be able to get it as is linked down in descriptions below. But thank you guys for hanging out with me during this episode. I really appreciate you guys listening. And I really hope that you can get something out of this. And I hope that it inspires you to know that you can do what you set your heart out to do. And you can start off one way, but you can finish strong. You know what I mean? And so I really hope it does encourage you and give you some hope and inspire you to do the thing that you love. And if you don't have anyone else around you encouraging you, know that you can always count on the Girl Techno podcast, me, Shawnee Sanders, right here to encourage you and to support you along your journey. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you next time.